The cold silence of space was shattered by a blip on Earth's early warning monitors, an unidentified object hurtling toward the solar system at impossible speed. At first, scientists thought it was a meteor or rogue asteroid, but the shape wasn't natural. It was sleek, menacing, and far too precise in its trajectory to be random. The message crackled through the United Nations Space Command's command center in New York. Unknown vessel approaching Earth's orbit. No communication received. On the crowded bridge, Commander Lena Vega's eyes narrowed. Years of training told her this was no ordinary encounter. The ship was alien. And fast. Before any diplomatic gestures could be attempted, Earth's satellites picked up energy signatures unlike anything recorded. A high-powered weapon charge, aimed straight at the space station orbiting Earth. Panic rippled through the world's capitals. News broadcasts cut to emergency bulletins. Governments argued over the best course of action. Some advocated hiding underground. Others demanded an all-out military strike. But no one truly knew how to fight an enemy unlike anything humanity had faced before. Among the chaos, Dr. Kiran Malik, a brilliant but unconventional astrophysicist, sat quietly in his lab. He had spent years warning the global community that humanity's sudden rise into space wouldn't go unnoticed forever. Now, his worst fears were coming true. Humanity is the prey, he murmured to himself. In a shadowed military facility outside Moscow, Captain Jace Carter checked his squad's gear for the third time. His unit was one of Earth's best, special forces trained for rapid response in hostile environments. Yet none of them had ever imagined their first real enemy would come from the stars. The news hit them like a storm. A Predator scout ship, part of a ruthless coalition, known for hunting entire civilizations for sport, was inbound, and Earth was its latest target. Unlike the countless worlds that fell before, humanity was not a broken, fractured race easily subdued. Humans had grit, creativity, and above all, unpredictability. As the Predator ship dropped into Earth's orbit, cloaking itself in shadows, it expected an effortless kill. But it underestimated humanity's resolve. The first strike came without warning. Earth's orbital defense platforms, hastily armed and jury-rigged, fired a barrage of missiles and laser pulses. The Predator's shields shimmered and absorbed the hits, but the humans' unpredictability made targeting difficult. Fighter pilots launched daring hit-and-run attacks, exploiting debris fields and using makeshift EMP devices to disrupt Predator systems. Captain Carter led one such squadron, weaving through the deadly dance of lasers and explosions. His heart pounded, adrenaline sharpening his senses. His squad's fighter was hit but not destroyed, and they retaliated with a precision strike on the Predator's engine array, forcing the ship to retreat temporarily. Meanwhile, Dr. Malik coordinated with scientists worldwide to develop countermeasures. Using fragments of Predator technology recovered from previous skirmishes, they worked frantically to reverse engineer shielding enhancements and weapon mods. But the Predators were relentless. Their command ship sent a message, an ultimatum broadcast in a harsh, guttural language that no translator could decode, a clear declaration: surrender or be destroyed. Instead, humanity responded with a rallying cry. On every screen, from small villages to massive cities, leaders called for unity. Citizens volunteered for defense squads, engineers worked round the clock, and pilots trained harder than ever. In the underground bunkers, children clung to their parents, listening to stories of Earth's defiant warriors. Hope burned bright amid the fear. Then came the moment that stunned the galaxy. In a tense orbital battle, Captain Carter's squadron faced the Predator commander, a towering, fierce warrior wielding plasma blades and cloaked in advanced stealth tech. The dogfight was brutal, a deadly game of hide-and-seek across the void. Using an unexpected gambit, Carter's team feigned retreat into a dense asteroid field. The Predator followed, confident of a swift kill. But the asteroids were laced with magnetic mines, planted by human engineers. As the Predator's ship surged forward, a massive explosion tore through its hull. The Predator commander barely escaped in a damaged pod, furious and wounded. The retreat sent shockwaves through the Predator ranks. They had never been bested by a fledgling species before. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted. Humanity had not only survived, they had fought back. Yet deep within the Predator High Council, whispers of war grew louder. This minor setback was a challenge to their dominance, and they vowed it would be their last. As humanity stared into the starry night, united in defiance, they knew this was only the beginning. The hunt was over, for now, but the real war had just begun. Earth was still trembling from its unexpected victory, but the respite was short-lived. Across the vast blackness of space, the Predator High Council seethed with fury. Their scout ship's defeat was an embarrassment they would not tolerate. A brutal response was being crafted. A deadly hunt, not just for Earth's soldiers, but for its very spirit. Commander Lena Vega stood on the bridge of the newest human warship, U.S. Resolute, her eyes fixed on the swirling chaos of Earth's orbit. The planet below was scared but unbroken. Her mind raced with the knowledge that the Predator retaliation would come swift and merciless. Intelligence had detected the Predator fleet gathering beyond the Kuiper Belt, a vanguard of hunting ships, war machines, and bioengineered beasts, preparing to unleash terror on humanity. This isn't just a war for survival, Lena told her crew during the briefing. They want to crush us, make an example. We fight not just for Earth, but for every species they've hunted into silence. Captain Jace Carter, freshly recovered from his battle scars, nodded grimly. His unit was being integrated into spaceborne strike teams, training relentlessly to adapt Predator tactics. They think they're apex hunters, he said, but they don't know what humans are capable of when cornered. Above Earth, the Predators launched their assault, the first true hunt. In the orbital colonies, life turned to chaos. The Predators struck fast and precise, targeting supply stations, mining rigs, and communication hubs. Their bioengineered beasts, monstrous and vicious, were deployed onto the surfaces of moons and space stations alike, hunting survivors with terrifying efficiency. Jace's squadron scrambled to defend the orbital platforms, engaging in brutal close-quarter battles aboard abandoned mining rigs now turned battlegrounds. The Predator's technology was superior. Energy weapons that could vaporize a man in seconds, cloaking devices that rendered them nearly invisible, and tactical drones that hunted like bloodhounds. But humans fought back with raw determination and ingenuity. Engineers rigged improvised traps using magnetic pulse emitters and toxic nanobots. Pilots like Jace learned to predict the Predator's moves, turning the hunters into the hunted. The real turning point came when a young pilot, Lieutenant Maya Chen, volunteered for a near-suicide mission to rescue a trapped team on the shattered lunar mining colony of Selene 9. The colony was a maze of dark corridors and broken machinery, perfect ground for the Predators to stalk their prey. Maya's fighter weaved through Predator patrols with unmatched precision. Using the colony's unstable power grid, she detonated controlled overloads that disrupted Predator cloaking fields. In a heart-pounding sequence, Maya single-handedly evacuated the stranded soldiers while engaging a Predator warlord in a deadly dogfight above the moon's surface. The Predator commander was a towering figure, wielding energy blades that cut through metal like paper. But Maya's fighter dodged and weaved, exploiting every blind spot. With a daring ramming maneuver, she disabled his craft's engines, forcing him to eject in rage. Back on Earth, the media hailed Maya as a hero, a symbol of humanity's defiance. But beneath the celebrations, shadows lurked. The Predator High Council dispatched its deadliest general, Varrock, a ruthless strategist obsessed with eradicating the human anomaly. Varrock's ship, the Shadowfang, was cloaked in darkness, armed with experimental weapons that could tear through any known defense. Varrock's arrival marked a shift in the conflict. The hunters became relentless. Entire human battalions vanished without a trace in deep space ambushes. Communications from frontline units grew desperate, filled with warnings of unseen enemies striking from every direction. Yet, in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity's spirit only hardened. Dr. Kiran Malik, now embedded with military strategists, helped design new weapons based on predator bioengineering, turning their own technology against them. Underground research facilities buzzed with breakthroughs: plasma pulse rifles, adaptive shields, and stealth disruptors. In a secret meeting beneath the ruins of what was once the UN headquarters, leaders from Earth's fractured nations gathered. Old rivalries were set aside as they forged a single purpose: survival and resistance. They shared intelligence, coordinated fleets, and agreed to train pilots and soldiers in a new hybrid warfare that combined human unpredictability with alien tech. Humans don't just survive, Lena Vega told the assembly. We adapt, we evolve, and we fight smarter. But Varric was watching. His obsession grew with each failed attempt to crush the humans. He began deploying new horrors: bioengineered wraiths, stealth predators that could phase through solid matter, hunting silently in human cities and installations. On Earth, people whispered of disappearances. Workers, soldiers, even children vanished overnight. Fear threatened to unravel the fragile unity that had been built. Yet, amidst the growing darkness, hope flickered in unlikely places. A mysterious alien prisoner, captured during a predator raid, offered cryptic warnings and knowledge. She spoke of the predator's true origins and their weaknesses, a truth so dangerous it could turn the tide of the entire war. Humanity's first hunt was brutal, savage, and full of loss. But it also forged something new: a fierce determination to stand tall against the galaxy's deadliest predators. And so, as the stars watched in silence, the hunt raged on. But this time, humanity was not just prey. The predator's relentless hunt was shaking the very foundations of human society. Cities flickered with blackout warnings, communications were intermittently severed, and whispers of disappearances stoked fear across the globe. But somewhere in the shadows, something remarkable was beginning to ignite. Deep within a forgotten asteroid belt on the outskirts of human-controlled space, a hidden broadcast crackled to life. The message was simple, spoken in dozens of alien tongues, stitched together by a translator cobbled from stolen predator tech and human ingenuity. To all who suffer beneath the claws of the hunters, the voice called out, humanity has stood and fought. They are not your prey. This message, broadcast from a secret relay station on a derelict mining ship, spread like wildfire. Among the countless species that had endured the predator's dominion for millennia, the whispers of rebellion suddenly found a voice. Across thousands of star systems, enslaved and oppressed civilizations dared to hope for the first time in generations. Back on Earth, Commander Lena Vega monitored the growing network of alien signals. "They're listening," she said quietly to Dr. Kiran Malik during a tense briefing. "Our defiance is sparking something bigger than us." Malik nodded. "It's what we needed. Alliances, allies. The galaxy won't be quiet forever." But the predators saw it differently. The High Council was furious, interpreting these broadcasts as an act of rebellion that threatened their entire order. A cruel, calculated plan was set in motion to crush the fragile flame before it could turn into an inferno. General Varric, the ruthless predator warlord, was given free rein to execute this plan. His ship, the Shadowfang, became a shadow of death and terror. Using advanced stealth technology, Varric's forces infiltrated rebel cells, sowing distrust and chaos. Entire star systems fell silent as underground networks were dismantled one by one. On the surface of the shattered moon Selene 9, where human resistance forces had fought fiercely only weeks earlier, a predator trap was set. Lieutenant Maya, Chen's rescue mission had made her a legend, but now the hunters were coming for her. Maya's squadron received a coded distress signal. It was weak, fragmented, but unmistakably human. They pushed forward into the heart of the minefield, unaware it was a deadly lure. As they neared the coordinates, their sensors flickered and died. The claustrophobic corridors echoed with unearthly sounds, the growls of bioengineered beasts and the whisper of cloaked predators closing in. A brutal ambush unfolded. Maya's squadron fought fiercely, their plasma rifles blazing and pulse grenades detonating in tight tunnels. But the predators had evolved their tactics, using stealth wraith units capable of phasing through walls to strike from unexpected angles. In a desperate stand, Maya faced a towering predator warlord wielding energy blades that hummed with deadly power. The battle was savage and close, each blow ringing through the cavern. Just as the predator raised his blade for the final strike, Maya's squad leader threw himself between them, taking the fatal blow. Maya's scream echoed through the tunnels, a rallying cry that ignited the remaining fighters' fury. Using a plasma charge, she sealed the passage behind them and ordered a strategic retreat. The loss was heavy, but the survivors escaped with vital intelligence on the predator trap. Back aboard the Resolute, the atmosphere was grim. Commander Vega stood over the tactical map, tracing the patterns of predator strikes. "Farak's trying to break us," she said. "Divide us. Make us doubt." Dr. Malik, poring over intercepted predator communications, revealed a disturbing truth. The predators aren't just hunters. They're dictators, ruling through fear and manipulation. If we can disrupt their networks, broadcast their brutality to the galaxy, we might force other species to rise. That was when the mysterious alien prisoner was brought into the briefing room. Silent and hooded, she watched with knowing eyes as the humans argued strategy. "She calls herself Solara," Malik explained. "She claims to be from a species enslaved for centuries. Her knowledge could be the key we need." Solara spoke softly, but with fierce conviction. The Predator's strength lies not just in their weapons, but in their control over fear. Their hierarchy is fragile. If you can ignite rebellion among the oppressed, fracture their alliances, they will crumble. Her words resonated deeply. The seeds of a new strategy were planted, one that would combine military might with psychological warfare and alliance building. Meanwhile, in the shadows of the Predator High Council chamber, Farak paced. His frustration was palpable. "The humans are unpredictable," he growled. "They fight with something we have not seen. A fire." A council elder, cloaked in ancient ceremonial armor, replied coldly, "They are but one species. Their flame will burn out." But Farak was no longer certain. The galaxy was watching. And in the darkness, sparks of rebellion were igniting into a blaze that could burn down an empire. The Resolute cut through the cold void of space, its engines a low hum against the vast silence. On board, Commander Lena Vega's expression was grim but determined. The mission before them was unlike any other humanity had attempted. A direct strike at a Predator supply station, buried deep within enemy territory. The station, known as Carthal, was a sprawling fortress of steel and bioorganic matter, part war machine, part hunting ground. It served as the logistical heart of the Predator fleets in this sector, a hub for weapons manufacturing, prisoner holding, and the breeding of those monstrous bio-beasts that had haunted human nightmares. Destroying it would strike a blow not just to the Predator war effort, but to their very capacity to terrorize the galaxy. "This is a suicide mission," Jace Carter said quietly as he strapped into his fighter. His voice carried the weight of experience, the knowledge that few would return. "But it's the only way." Lena met his gaze. "We don't get to choose easy. We get to choose necessary." The team's insertion was surgical. Using stealth drives and the newly developed cloak disruptors Dr. Malik had helped design, human fighters slipped past Predator sensors. The Resolute dropped them off miles from Carthal, where the sharp silhouette of the fortress loomed against the backdrop of swirling nebulae. Jace's unit was tasked with sabotaging the weapons factory, a labyrinthine complex that produced plasma cannons and energy blades. The corridors inside were alive, pulsating with a sickly organic glow. Walls breathed, and strange, predatory noises echoed in the dark. As they moved through the complex, The squad encountered cages filled with alien prisoners, huddled, gaunt beings from dozens of species, including Solaris. Their eyes held a mixture of fear and hope. "We're coming for you," Maya whispered, her voice thick with resolve. But the true horror awaited deeper inside. The squad stumbled upon the bioengineering labs. Tanks filled with writhing, half-formed creatures. Mutations born from predator cruelty and dark science. The air reeked of chemicals and death. Suddenly, alarms blared. A predator patrol had discovered them. The fight was brutal and chaotic. Energy blades clashed with plasma rifles, shadows and flashes of light dancing in the claustrophobic halls. The predator's speed and strength were terrifying, but humanity's resilience was relentless. In the thick of battle, Jace was separated from his squad. Alone and injured, he found himself face to face with a predator commander, a massive figure with scarred armor and eyes burning with cold fury. The two circled each other, predator and prey, each waiting for the other to make a mistake. Jace lunged, firing his pulse rifle in short bursts, forcing the predator to dodge. Using his environment, he triggered an explosion that sent shards of metal flying. The predator faltered, giving Jace the opening to land a brutal strike with a plasma blade he'd snatched from a fallen hunter. But the victory was Pyrrhic. As the predator fell, Jace's suit was pierced, and the poison began to spread. He fought to remain conscious, dragging himself back toward the extraction point. Meanwhile, Maya led the rest of the squad to the weapons factory's core. Using explosive charges, they destroyed key production lines. The facility shook violently, fires spreading through the corridors. They rushed to evacuate, the fortress now a raging inferno behind them. Back on the Resolute, Lena watched the extraction feed with clenched fists. When Jace's pod ejected from the burning station, the tension in the room broke, until medical scans revealed the toxin in his system. Time was running out. In the medbay, Dr. Malik worked feverishly alongside human and alien doctors. Drawing on Solara's knowledge, they developed an antidote, a risky combination of human biochemistry and alien enzymes designed to counteract the predator venom. Jace's breaths were shallow, but his eyes stayed fierce. "Tell the others, we're not done yet," he whispered. Outside the Resolute, the destruction of Carthol sent ripples through Predator Command. General Varric's fury was palpable. Losing a vital supply station was a blow not just in resources but in pride. His voice echoed across the council chambers. "They are invading our sanctuaries. If they wish war, they shall have war." Solara's presence aboard the Resolute grew more vital. She shared secrets of Predator rituals, hierarchy, and weaknesses. Her warnings were chilling. "The Predators fear unity," she said. "They are hunters alone. Together, they are fractured." Lena and her commanders began to understand that the war was no longer just a fight of weapons. It was a battle of minds, hearts, and alliances. As Jace slowly recovered, he and Maya began training new recruits in the brutal lessons learned inside the Predator Fortress. Humanity's fight was evolving, from desperate survival to calculated resistance. The Resolute jumped to hyperspace, carrying its wounded and its hope into the cold depths of space. Somewhere in the darkness, the Predators sharpened their claws for the next hunt. But humanity was ready. The Predator High Council chamber was a storm of shadows and whispered threats. Enormous, ancient, and cloaked in the swirling dark robes of their kind, the counselors argued fiercely over the escalating conflict with humanity. General Varric, still seething from the loss of Carthol, paced the circular chamber. "These humans are defiant beyond reason," he snarled. "They burn our supply lines, slaughter our warriors, and now they rally other species against us." One elder, a gaunt and wizened figure known as Malruk, spoke softly but with icy authority. "Their strength is in their alliances. They have awakened something we long suppressed, unity among the hunted." "Unity is weakness," Varric retorted, eyes blazing. "Our kind survives because we are hunters, lone predators who strike fear into every corner of the galaxy. But this is no longer the time for isolation. Now we're countered. Our grip loosens with every rebellion sparked by these humans. If we fracture, we fall. The Council's fracturing mirrored the cracks appearing within the predator ranks. Some hunters, disillusioned with the endless war, began questioning their purpose. The centuries-old code that defined honor through the hunt was crumbling beneath the weight of relentless defeat. Meanwhile, aboard the Resolute, Commander Lena Vega received intercepted communications that hinted at dissension within the Predator forces. Smugglers and outcasts sent encrypted messages suggesting that some Predator factions sought to exploit the chaos for their own gain. "We can turn their divisions to our advantage," Lena told her commanders. "If we can ally with these disillusioned hunters, the tide may shift faster than we imagine." Dr. Kiran Malik, ever the skeptic, cautioned, "Trust is a fragile thing in war, but it may be our best chance." Deep within a hidden moon base cloaked by dense asteroid fields, one such faction made contact. Their leader was a predator unlike any Lena had seen. Taller, more battle-worn, and bearing scars that told of countless battles. He called himself Calthor. Calthor spoke of honor lost and a vision of a future where predators and other species could coexist, if only the High Council's iron grip could be broken. Lena and Calthor's clandestine meeting was tense but hopeful. They shared intelligence, plans, and mutual respect born of countless battles fought on opposite sides. Yet trust was hard-won. Calthor revealed a secret that shook the human commanders. The Predator's true hierarchy was far more fragile than suspected. The High Council maintained control not just through military might, but by suppressing the hidden network of rebellious clans and rogue hunters, an internal civil war simmering beneath the surface. If that network could be awakened, the Predators might shatter from within. Back on Earth, the psychological toll of the war was mounting. Civilians lived in constant fear of Predator raids. Entire cities adopted blackout protocols to avoid detection. But even in the darkest hours, stories of human courage spread, like wildfire. Young cadets trained relentlessly, veterans returned to fight despite wounds, and communities banded together. Maya Chen, now a seasoned leader, spoke at rallies and war colleges, inspiring new generations to embrace their unpredictable strength. One evening, as the Resolute orbited Earth, Lena reflected on the fragile thread of hope. The alliance with Calthor was a gamble, but humanity's very survival depended on it. Suddenly, an emergency alert flashed on her console, an unidentified fleet emerging from the Oort cloud. The approaching ships were unlike any human or predator vessel. Sleek, angular, and humming with unfamiliar energy signatures, they radiated power and purpose. Calthor's voice came through encrypted channels, sharp and urgent. "Prepare yourself, Commander. You are not alone in this fight." The new arrivals were from a long-hidden coalition of species, once hunted and hidden, now awakened by humanity's defiance. They brought weapons, technology, and warriors ready to challenge the Predator reign. But with new allies came new challenges. The coalition was fractured, made up of species with ancient grudges and conflicting goals. Uniting them under a common cause would test humanity's diplomatic and military skills as never before. As the Resolute moved to intercept the newcomers, Lena felt the weight of leadership heavier than ever. The war for survival had become a war for the soul of the galaxy. And humanity, once the hunted, was now the spark of rebellion. The newly arrived fleet hovered at the edge of human space like a storm on the horizon, an armada of unfamiliar shapes and strange technology, yet unmistakably alive with purpose. Commander Lena Vega stood on the bridge of the Resolute, watching the holographic projection of the fleet's intricate formations. Each ship pulsed with alien energy signatures, symbols of cultures long suppressed by the Predators, now resurfacing to challenge their oppressors. "We have visitors," Lena said quietly, her voice carrying a mixture of hope and caution. "Let's hope they're here to fight, not to conquer." Her calm crackled as Calthor's voice came through, calm but resolute. They come as allies, but not without their own shadows. Trust will be tested. The coalition was a fragile mosaic of exiles, survivors, and warriors. The Sithari, with their crystalline ships and advanced energy manipulation. The Varalun, fierce reptilian fighters known for their guerrilla tactics. And the enigmatic Elisar, masters of stealth and infiltration. Each species had reasons to distrust the others. Ancient wars, cultural grudges, and wounds still fresh beneath the surface. Lena called a council aboard the Resolute, inviting the leaders of the new allies and Calthor to join the fragile talks. The room buzzed with tension, voices overlapping in dozens of languages, interpreters scrambling to keep pace. Calthor took the floor first, his deep voice commanding silence. We have all suffered under the Predator's reign. Alone, we are hunted. Together, we are hunters. Sithari matriarch Cyril moved forward, her crystalline form shimmering softly. Our people's technology can pierce Predator shields and disrupt their cloaking fields, but we require human strategic leadership. Varlun warlord Grash snarled, pacing the room. Human tactics have proven stubborn and fierce, but our guerrilla skills will break the enemy lines. Elisar Shade Mistress Felon spoke last, her voice a whisper that cut through the noise. I offer secrets. The Predators fear shadows. I know how to walk between them. Lena nodded, feeling the weight of the Alliance's potential and its volatility. We stand united, or we fall divided. The Predators hunt with pride and tradition, but their greatest weakness is their fractured nature. We must strike at their command networks and fracture their alliances. The Alliance agreed on a coordinated strike plan. Simultaneous assaults on multiple Predator strongholds, designed to confuse and divide. The humans would lead the frontal attacks, while the Coalition specialists would sabotage supply lines and communication hubs. Preparation was intense. Human engineers worked alongside Sithari scientists to adapt their plasma rifles with crystalline energy modulators. Vardlan warriors drilled with human infantry, sharing deadly hand-to-hand combat techniques. Elisar operatives trained with Maya Chen's squadron, learning how to slip unseen through enemy lines. But tensions simmered beneath the surface. Cultural misunderstandings flared during training exercises. Old prejudices threatened to unravel the fragile trust. Lena found herself mediating disputes as often as she led battle plans. One night, as she reviewed intelligence data, Calthor approached her quietly. Trust is a blade with two edges, he said. Too much distrust can sever it. Too much trust can leave you vulnerable. Lena met his gaze. We don't have the luxury of perfect trust, but we have something stronger, necessity. Calthor nodded. Then let us sharpen that blade. Days later, the Alliance's fleet moved into position. The first targets were Predator orbital platforms that served as nerve centers for their hunting fleets. The assault began with coordinated electronic warfare. Sithari ships unleashed pulses that scrambled Predator sensors, while Elisar infiltrators disabled key systems from within. On the surface of a moon called Drethar, Varlun and human ground forces launched a daring raid, cutting off a supply depot and freeing dozens of enslaved aliens. The battle was fierce. Predator biobeasts tore through the ranks, but human and Varlun tactics prevailed. Back on the Resolute, Lena watched the reports flow in. The coordinated strikes were working. Predator command was in disarray, but victory was far from assured. Then the alarms sounded. Incoming fleet detected. The tactical officer shouted. Predator reinforcements, larger than any we've seen. Calthor's voice was grim. They've summoned their elite hunters, the Shadowfang battle group. The Shadowfang was a nightmare made flesh. Heavily armored warships bristling with experimental weaponry, led by Varric himself. His obsession with destroying humanity had only grown, fueled by his wounded pride and the Council's desperate fury. As the two fleets prepared for collision, Lena stood on the bridge, flanked by her diverse commanders. We fight not just for Earth, she declared. We fight for every voice the Predators tried to silence, for every life stolen, for the galaxy's future. The Resolute powered up its weapons systems, and the alien fleets formed battle lines. The alliance was fragile. The enemy was merciless. But humanity was no longer alone in the darkness. The hunt was about to become a war. The void around them erupted into chaos. The Resolute and its newfound allies surged forward, a dazzling array of weaponry lighting up the darkness. Against them, the Shadowfang battle group advanced with deadly precision. Sleek, blackened warships that seemed carved from nightmares, bristling with predator technology, augmented by cruel bioengineering. Commander Lena Vega gripped the rail of the bridge as the first salvo slammed into their shields. The vibrations shook the Resolute, but the human ship held firm. Shields at 80%, the tactical officer reported. Enemy firepower is overwhelming. Return fire, Lena ordered. Sithari energy cannons, focus on the lead Shadowfang cruiser. Varlun fighters, flank from starboard. Elisar stealth ships, prepare boarding runs. The battle was a furious dance of light and shadow. Plasma bolts and crystalline beams crisscrossed space. Fighters darted and spiraled, weaving through debris and explosions. Amidst the chaos, the elite Elisar operatives slipped past defenses, cloaked in near invisibility, targeting the Shadowfang's critical systems. On the ground, Maya Chen led a team that had landed on the moon Trithar, now a predator staging ground. Their mission: disable a massive kinetic cannon poised to obliterate the Allied fleet. The terrain was brutal: twisted metal, shattered rock, and the ever-present hum of predator sentinels. Maya moved with lethal grace, silent but deadly. Her squad was outnumbered, but their training and resolve were unmatched. Suddenly, the earth trembled as a towering predator warlord emerged, his bioengineered armor glistening with menace. His energy blades ignited, casting eerie shadows across the battlefield. "Hold your ground," Maya commanded, rallying her squad. The fight was brutal and close quarters. Energy blades clashed against pulse rifles, and hand-to-hand combat exploded in bursts of adrenaline. Back in space, the battle intensified. Kelthor's voice crackled over the comms. "They are pushing us hard." Their elite warriors fight with desperate fury. "Hold the line," Lena replied. "We fight for every slave, every fallen comrade." The Resolute took a direct hit near its engine core, flames licking through bulkheads. Emergency crews scrambled as alarms blared. "We're losing power to the main thrusters," the engineer shouted. Lena's mind raced. The Resolute was the heart of their fleet. If it fell, the Alliance's morale would shatter. Then came a shocking transmission from the Predator flagship. Varric's voice echoed through the comm channels, cold, mocking, filled with venom. "You think you can break us? You are mere insects under my claws. Surrender, and I may spare your world." Lena's jaw tightened. "We do not surrender. We fight." Inspired, the fleet redoubled its efforts. Sithari cannons found weak points. Varlun fighters tore through escort ships. Elisar saboteurs crippled weapon arrays. In the maelstrom, Kelthor's own ship was targeted. A predator dreadnought surged forward, intent on crushing the traitor. Kelthor faced the enemy commander in brutal ship-to-ship combat. Energy beams against plasma bursts. The titanic clash of wills reflected in the stars. Meanwhile, on Drithar, Maya's squad finally cornered the Predator warlord near the kinetic cannon's control hub. With a coordinated strike, Maya's team overwhelmed the beast. The warlord fell, his scream echoing like a curse as the kinetic cannon powered down with a final, shuddering pulse. As the ground forces secured the site, a message came through the Alliance channels. "Predator fleet retreating," the tactical officer announced, disbelief in his voice. The Predators were withdrawing. Victory came at a heavy cost. The Allied fleet was battered. The Resolute barely limped away from the battlefield. In the quiet aftermath, Lena looked out at the stars. The war was far from over. Varric's defeat was a wound, not a death blow. The Predators would regroup, strike back with vengeance. But for the first time, humanity and its allies had proven something vital. The mighty predators could be challenged. Kelthor approached Lena on the bridge, his battle scars deeper, but his eyes burning with new fire. This victory is a beginning. The fractures in their empire will grow. Lena nodded. And we will be ready. As the fleet repaired and regrouped, the galaxy stirred. Rebellions flared, new alliances formed, and whispers of freedom echoed in dark corners where once there was only fear. The hunters had been hunted, and humanity had become a beacon. The battered fleet drifted through the aftermath of battle, stars flickering beyond the shattered remnants of the Predator Armada. The Resolute was scared but still upright, its hull patched, its engines humming a steady rhythm. On the bridge, Commander Lena Vega stood tall, her gaze fixed on the endless void ahead. The war had changed everything. Once, humanity had been prey, a species struggling for survival in a galaxy ruled by merciless hunters. Now, they were leaders of a coalition, voices for the oppressed, champions of resistance. The alliance had shaken the Predator Empire to its core. The High Council fractured, trust eroded, and the once unassailable predators found themselves hunted. Yet Lena knew this was only the beginning. Kelthor stood beside her, the Predator warrior who had become their most unlikely ally. His scars were a testament to battles fought, but his eyes held a newfound hope. The Predators will not vanish overnight, he said quietly. They are cunning. They will regroup, seek new prey. But the balance has shifted. Lena nodded. We'll be ready. On Drethar, liberated prisoners celebrated their freedom. The moon's dark surface was no longer a prison but a beacon. Silara moved among them, her eyes reflecting both joy and sorrow. They have known fear, she said softly. But now, they know hope. Back on Earth, the news of victory spread like wildfire. Across cities and colonies, people raised their voices, not in despair, but in defiance. Statues were erected honoring fallen heroes. Songs were sung of the human spirit that refused to break. Maya Chen, battle-hardened and resolute, stood before a new generation of recruits. We fought the impossible, she told them. And we won. But the fight never ends. We protect not just ourselves, but every being who dares to dream of freedom. Diplomatic envoys from the coalition species gathered on the Resolute, forging treaties, sharing knowledge, and planning for a future built on trust rather than fear. It was a fragile peace, woven from the threads of war, but stronger than any had dared hope. Yet beneath the surface, old wounds festered. Some predators refused to abandon the hunt. Rogue clans launched sporadic attacks, striking at isolated settlements, reminding humanity that vigilance was their price for survival. In a secret chamber aboard the Resolute, Lena and Kelthor studied intercepted communications. Signs pointed to a gathering storm, a new predator warlord rising, uniting the fractured clans under a banner of vengeance. We face a war within a war, Lena said, her voice steady. But we will not cower. Kelthor placed a clawed hand on her shoulder. Together, we will forge a future even the stars will remember. As the Resolute prepared to depart for the next front, Lena took one last look at the view, a galaxy vast and full of challenges, but also of promise. For the first time in countless cycles, humanity was no longer alone in the dark. They were hunters now, and the dawn of a new era had begun.